One thing I'm definitely learning is like, I'm physically incapable of writing a final draft. Like, if someone lets me revise, I will get new ideas for my books all the time, and you have to like physically pry me away from it. Hi, welcome back to another writing vlog. So this vlog I'm gonna try to do a little week in my life as a full-time writer. Crazy thing to say. For the last almost a month, we're coming up on a month, I have been writing full-time. The reason that I wasn't vlogging was because I actually had to take a break from the floating house. For the last couple days, I've been doing some beta reading. I've opened up like beta reading services through my Ko-fi, help at least 2 people with beta reading every month. My vague to-do list for this week is I want to finish beta reading. I want to draft and schedule a bunch of Ko-fi posts. I want to brainstorm some more Substack newsletters. Yeah, and then the biggest thing that I have to get done this week, I have been doing developmental edits on Local Heavens, and it's due in a week. Why am I doing dev edits? Because I want to. It's kind of a long story. I won't get into it in this vlog. I've been working on a dev edit for Local Heavens for the last, I want to say, week and a half. I told my agent I can do the dev edit very quickly, which I can, but yeah, it's like, it's got to be very tight turnaround, and the change that I'm making is like, it's a dev edit because it affects a lot of chapters and it requires a little bit of new content. It's definitely something that I can write pretty fast, and I have been writing it pretty fast. I'm actually almost to the end of it. I got to the end of like generally what I have to do. I just have like one more scene and then I'm gonna proofread it. But the other reason that this edit is taking kind of long is because I'm changing names and terminology. There's like certain terms, like fictional terms in the book that I've decided to change their names. So that's like a very tedious task that I have to fix. And then there's also like a bunch of side characters whose names I wanted to change. The short of it is that Local Heavens, which is a Gatsby retelling if you're new here, I wanted to make sure that all of like every single name in this book has some kind of tie to something in the original Gatsby. My story requires a little bit more characters than there are characters in Gatsby. I've been trying to make sure that every named character has some kind of tie to the book in some way. You know, it's for no reason except for my own like housekeeping. I just want to kind of keep with the spirit of the book. And yeah, there's like one key change that I needed to make sort of to the prologue, but it kind of affects Nick's character motivation. And obviously when you're tweaking the character motivation of your main character, it's obviously gonna affect a lot of the book. So it's been a very intense 2-ish weeks of revision, and I have like one more week to go. I want to get it back as fast as possible. I had to put the floating house on pause for a few weeks, and I just kind of want to get back to writing that book. Me revising Local Heavens, it's such a long story, but me revising Local Heavens, I'm voluntarily writing a draft 6. So I've gotten to the point in this revision where my eyes are like glazing over words. I've just like briefly forgotten how to write. One thing that I always talk about when I talk about writing Local Heavens is like the voice of the project. Every time I go back and whenever I have to do revisions after being away from it for a while, I always have this transition period where I feel like I have to remember how to write in Nick's voice. And it's kind of like when you're writing, you're switching genres, you're switching voice, and first it feels like your writing has like an accent. I don't think that the writing style in Local Heavens is that different than how I have been writing in the floating house, but there are certainly some differences. I always joke and kind of call them like Fitzgeraldisms. So it was like kind of difficult at first writing this new prologue. I was like, oh my god, how do I write like Nick again? I was having a moment the other day where I was revising the climax yesterday, just like all the crazy shit that happens at the end of this book. And I was having one of those moments where I was like, what did I write? What possessed me in the last 2 years that I was like, sci-fi dystopia, gay, Gatsby, that's what I'm writing. I honestly feel like with every revision, this book has just gotten weirder and weirder. Oh, I feel like it's gotten weirder and weirder. I also feel like it's gotten more and more emotional. I feel like the characters have gotten just a lot more, I've like opened them up a lot more in terms of their vulnerabilities, and it took 6 drafts, but whatever. Yeah, but one thing I'm definitely learning is like, I'm physically incapable of writing a final draft. Like, if someone lets me revise, I will get new ideas for my books all the time, and you have to like physically pry me away from it. I heard you. But my new little desk companion, I need to like buckle down and finish these fucking revisions. I think I will be able to wrap like a big portion of this revision today. It's a tough scene. I don't really like editing this scene just because I feel like, I don't know, there's a couple scenes in this book that I don't like reading over. In the same way that I don't like writing action, like fight choreography, I also don't really like writing sex scenes. I always kind of procrastinate it, but I need to like edit it, or I guess like edit the scene that directly follows it. I feel like I have to slightly enter dissociative state. Like they're fine. They're just not my favorite thing to write. Yeah, and then we're almost there. I think there's like one more little thing that I want to do for Jordan's character, Daisy's character. It's more of Daisy's character. Jordan has really not changed since draft 1. Are you saying hi, Clemmie? Clemmie. Clemmie. That's a really good loaf, Clemmie. Clemmie, like, when she loafs... Oh, she's just stopped doing it. But when she loafs, it looks like she's putting her hands together like that. It reminds me of, like, Avatar, fists together. Oh, don't spot the camera, Clemmie, no. Okay, she doesn't like it. You want to know what element Clemmie is? She's an earthbender, I think. I'll let you groom in peace, Clemmie. Okay, hello, happy morning. I actually finished my revision yesterday, but at the cost of sleeping at 3 in the morning. Today, with fresh eyes, I'm gonna give it like one more skim. It's gonna go off to my brother, and hopefully he doesn't find anything super glaring. But when I was reading it over yesterday, I feel like it's solid. Like, obviously a lot of things did stay the same, but I think the things that I did add, at least in my like 3 a.m. brain, seemed fine. The biggest thing that I'm actually quite proud of is the fact that I didn't actually add significantly to the word count. It's like the same size, like the size of, at least the word count that Scrivener is telling me is the same word count that it was in the last draft. Considering that I added 2 new chapters, new scenes, line editing worked, I was able to trade off word count, which is usually the thing that I stress about during revision. So the craziest thing about not working a 9 to 5 as I have for basically my whole professional life is that today is Monday, but I have like no concept of the days of the week. Even though I'm not working my full-time job, because I'm like doing so much writing, it feels like I'm actually working longer hours, because when I was working full-time, there were days where I wouldn't write because I was very wrung out from my day job, and it was like I just wouldn't write every single day. Better for me mentally to not have to do that. But now that I do write every single day, I'm like 12 hours in front of the computer screen. I also, now that I don't need to have a work laptop, I've gone and I just use my extra monitor for a dual monitor, and it's been actually very, very helpful because I put my draft on my main screen and then my thesaurus, my music. Yeah, I've just never had so many screens. So once I get this draft over to my brother, I think I can actually do some beta reading today. I'm very, very excited. I don't know if I said this already, but I did already get art for Local Heavens. Commissioning art is so interesting. One thing that I never imagined would happen, the character art would influence me writing the book. This was the first draft that I was writing, draft 6. This is the first draft that I was writing where I was like actually seeing faces of my characters, which I typically don't really see the faces of my characters. Imagination is like on a spectrum from like 0, which is like aphantasia, you don't see anything, and then there's like on the other end of the spectrum people who can see things in such vivid, clear detail. And I always felt like I fell somewhere on towards that side, but never completely. I would see clothing and the general like body shape of a character and maybe like the shape of their face. But when it comes to like their actual facial features, I never really envision anything. It really did like help me, I think. Okay, while we're talking about character art though, what's really funny is that when I commissioned art for Nick and for Gatsby, the 2 main characters, but I would love to commission art Jordan and Daisy as well, but especially Jordan. I think Jordan is like visually the coolest looking character. I have the most fun describing because she has a lot of like cool physical things going on with her body. But anyways, I feel like the way that Nick is described physically throughout the book is so scattered across the book. I think any descriptions that you get of as to what Nick looks like is implied through other characters and the very like sparse ways that he describes himself. So I had a clear image of what Nick looks like in my head, and I think the art really reflects that. But when I was like showing it to my brother, he was like, that is not what I thought Nick was gonna look like. I think it's like pretty much, I already exported the document, so it's pretty much ready to go and send to my brother. But I'm just gonna text my agent and let her know I've done it. I've already gone and done it. Hello. It is a new day. There wasn't much that I had to vlog yesterday. I mostly read through the first half of draft 6. And then today I'm going to try to read the second half of the book. And then I think this is ready to send to my agent today or tomorrow if I feel like it. But my brother had just like read through some of the new stuff and he really didn't have anything to say. His opinion is that the changes are good. They address a lot of the things that I wanted to address, just like introducing plot points sooner.
I made one for myself, and then my grandma wanted it, so I gave it to her.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think I made it for, like, Emily, so I couldn't keep that one either.
Okay, so, well, yesterday I wrapped up my beta reading. Was it yesterday or the day after? Or the day before? I can't remember. That was good. I'm happy to have gotten through that. Today, I've actually spent the entire day just like doing admin and then also just powering through MOTHS. I'm sure you guys know Lynn, but if you don't, go follow Lynn. I've been reading MOTHS, which is the book that she finished this year. She's doing revisions on it right now, but oh my god, I like powered through. It's a very readable book. Like, it's by no means a short book, average adult fantasy length, but for some reason I've just like been powering through it. I'm almost done. I honestly feel like I might get through it by the end of today, and then yeah, I'm just trying to like collect my thoughts on it. I have nothing to say. I just want to know what happens at the end. I don't think that the rest of my week is going to be particularly interesting. I finished my Local Heavens revision. I finished my beta reading. I'm gonna finish Lynn's stuff. I think by next week I'm gonna be going back to the floating house, get started on drafting that again. I did not anticipate that I was gonna take such a long break from the floating house, which might shake up my revision plans. Like Originally, I was like, I'm gonna have no issue delivering this draft or finishing this first draft by the end of this year, but I don't really know if I'm gonna still be able to do that. I just did not think that I was going to like pause for almost a month. I'm happy that I did. I'm like really happy with the revision that I did. Yeah, I think hopefully, fingers crossed, next vlog, we're gonna go back to the floating house. It's gonna be all things fantasy again. So yeah, thank you as always to my Ko-fi members. If you wanna sign up and be a part of the community, get some bonus content, if you need any like beta reading help, the community is nice and small right now, so I feel like it's like easier for me to accommodate as many beta reading requests as possible. So yeah, it's been a fun time. So if you want to join, links are in the description box. But thank you as always for watching this vlog. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope all your writing projects are going well.